Hey everybody, my name is Jason Blake and I'm the designer and publisher of Cysmic. This video is what I would like to call a convention style teach. This is the kind of approach I would take in a live setting at a convention when I'm teaching Cysmic to a group of brand new players. This video is meant for the game host or the game master who is hosting Cysmic to send to the rest of their game group in lieu of an on-site teach. This is something you would send out to your group ahead of time before game night starts. This is not going to cover setup. This video is not meant to be in lieu of a full teach or in lieu of a rule book or in lieu of a game master. This is strictly to get the rest of the team up to speed so that you can get game night jumped off quickly. All right, having said that, let's get started. So in Cysmic, there are no points to score. The goal of the game is to be the first player to build your colony ship. Your colony ship starts off looking like this, completely empty, and you're trying to get it to look like this. You're going to be building your colony ship in any order you choose because we've left Earth, we've gone off to a new planet, and we've terraformed the planet, but we over-terraformed it, and now the planet is actually fracturing apart. So that's why you're going to build your colony ship and try to be the first player to launch, and that's how you win the game. So, how do you build your colony ship? Well, you're going to need to get crystal ore off of the planet, and you're going to need some workers to do that, and then you're also going to need the blueprints. So if we look right over here at our construction board, these are blueprint tokens, and you'll notice these two here have X's on them. That means we're missing those blueprints. I'm going to be showing you the perspective from the yellow player, and there are 6 player colors in the game, and of course it goes up to 6 players. So each character, each player in the game chooses a faction color at the very beginning of each play session. So in this particular case, I'm the yellow player, and each player knows how to build their blueprint at the very beginning of the game. The other players in this particular game are orange and purple. I don't know how to build their module, so that's why I need to go and interact with them to gain their module, their blueprint. The other 3 colors are not in play in this particular game, and that would be green, gray, and blue. So that means all players know how to build those particular modules, having the blueprint ahead of time. So in a 3-player game, you're going to need 2 blueprints from the opposite players. So for example, purple is going to need orange and yellow, and then orange is going to need purple and yellow. And since I'm yellow, I need orange and purple. So how are you going to go about getting those modules? So what you need to do is you're going to be fighting with other units, other factions, and then you're going to be capturing their units, and then you're going to hold them hostage, and then use a hostage negotiation to give those units back to that faction for their blueprint. And so there is other ways. You're going to be also cyber attacking possibly the opponent's colony ship. And then there are some other abilities that certain factions have on how to gain blueprints from other factions. So let's go ahead and talk about how you actually play. So in a game of Cysmic, what you're going to be doing on your turn is you're going to be burning a card, playing a card, and doing a bonus action. What do I mean by that? You start the game with 10 command cards, and then you're going to have these 10 command cards are going to be how you perform almost everything in the game. And so what you're going to do on your turns, you're going to start with all 10 in your hand, and you're going to take a card that you don't think is something that you want to use right now, and you're going to burn that card face down in the leftmost column. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to choose another card from your hand, and you're going to play that card on top of the burned card. Once you've played the card, you're going to perform all the actions on that card from top to bottom. These gears that are on the cards, anytime you see a gear icon, that's going to be a particular action you can do on that card. And so in this case, with soldiers, I could choose to move and possibly neutralize. And then after you perform the card from top to bottom, then you're going to see 3 icons across the very bottom, and it's going to be a combination of 3 different colors on every card, and gray is always one of those options. Underneath the card, you're going to see a column of bonus actions with those icons underneath. You're going to have 6 different icons to choose from, and every command card has 3 different icons, one of which is always gray, and when you choose a bonus action, one of the actions you choose has to match one of those icons. So in this case with soldiers, I could perform the blue action, the green action, or one of the gray actions. And that is how a turn works. Let's go through it again. I'm going to burn a card face down. I'm going to play a card face up. I'm going to perform the card from top to bottom, and then I'm going to choose either orange, green, or gray. Once again, you're going to be going around the table, taking one turn at a time, performing the burn a card, play a card, do a bonus action, and you're going to do this all the way down 5 times. At the end of the fifth turn, all players, once they've completed their 5th turn, all players are going to do what's called a reset, and you're going to grab all of your command cards and you're going to return them to your hand. And then the player who has the first player marker, which is this super cool launch button, the first player who has that launch button is going to start the new cycle. This is one cycle, all 5 turns. So whoever has the launch button is going to take us off on the new cycle, and again, you'll be continuing to burn a card, play a card, and do a bonus action each turn. Once somebody launches, that's the end of the game, and that's going to be what you're going to be doing on your turn. So let's go through the command cards real quick. We're going to split the command cards into unit cards and tactic cards. 2 different kinds. You have 4 tactic cards and 6 unit cards. You can tell up here in the top of the card, you're going to see unit and you're going to see tactic. So we're going to set aside our tactic cards for the moment, and we're going to go through the 6 different types of unit cards. The first one I want to go over is speakers. Speakers look like this unit here. This is your miniature, and your speakers are going to simply be moving towards the tallest building that they can get to on the map. These buildings, you'll notice these gray buildings, are habitats. Habitats have colonists that live in them, and they can't build their own ship. So they're looking for a way to get a ride off the planet. So your speaker shows up, and then she's going to say, hey, you work with me, and I'll give you a free ticket on the ship. So when she shows up, she's going to move to the tallest building that she can get to, and then she is going to place a flag on there. And then that is going to increase your influence, which is over here on your construction board. This is your influence track. It is in orange with an orange cube. That building right there is going to give us 2 influence. The buildings are labeled 1, 2, and 3. Those are the levels of influence for your normal buildings, and when you place a flag on it, you're going to move it up. You're going to move your influence up that amount. There is also Colony City in the very center of the map, and that one is worth 5. That is what your speakers are going to be doing. When speakers move, they're going to be drawn to tall buildings to increase your influence. Let's move on to the next character, the troop. The resource troop is called a miner. This is what the miner looks like right here. The miner is going to be drawn to the purple crystal locations. Whenever a miner is activated, it's going to gain 1 of these crystals, 1 crystal ore right here, and that's going to go on your construction board. And when we were just talking about influence over here, the influence is going to move up and down on this track based on your flags. And that's going to determine 2 things. It's going to determine how much lorium ore you can store, and it's going to determine how many units you can recruit on the board later. The storage system is tied directly to influence. Whenever you move your influence cube, wherever that cube is, the next line, the next orange line above the influence cube, the next orange threshold is the maximum amount of Laurium you can store. So if I move this cube up to here, that does not unlock anything. If I move it down to here, that does not change anything. However, if I have to move my orange cube down here, that is now going to cause me to lose these Laurium at the end of my turn because I cannot hold them. That is beyond my maximum storage capacity. So that is how influence works with the storage for Laurium. Miners gain 1 Laurium. They also gain discovery cards. Discovery cards come in 3 different types. The very first card I want to show you is called the Planetary Event card. These cards never go into your hand. When they get drawn, they are going to immediately be resolved. The player who draws them resolves this. They discard the card, and then they draw another one. Now, these 2 cards are action cards all in gray, and then reaction cards, which are partially green and gray at the bottom. How do these cards work? These are discovery cards, and you can use them in 3 different ways. You can either modify die values from combat dice, and you can modify either yellow or red combat dice with the cards. You can increase a die value with a positive value, or you can decrease your opponent's dies in combat with a negative value. That is one way to use the card. The next way to use a card is in the middle. You can do a gray bonus action and play the middle of the card, the text in the middle. You can also choose to do the reward at the bottom instead. So you can either choose to modify dice, you can do the action in the middle, or you can do the reward at the bottom. Green cards, same thing. You can do combat at the top. You can modify combat dice at the top, or you can do the reward at the bottom, the same as a gray bonus action. But in the middle of a green card, these will tell you when you can play them. They're very similar to an interrupt from, say, Magic the Gathering or something like that, to where this is a card that can be played at the moment that it's valid to be played at. It does not even need to be your turn. It's just when the prerequisite is met, you can play that card. So that is how discovery cards work. And you're going to be gaining those throughout the game from miners and a variety of other sources. Let's talk about harvesters. Harvesters are the larger vehicle version of miners. Miners, once again, look like these guys, and when they are out on the board, they're going to be on these crystal spaces, but miners can be upgraded into harvesters. Miners get 1 crystal ore and 1 discovery card. Harvesters get 5 Laurium ore and 2 discovery cards. So they're a great investment. But again, same thing, miners are going to be drawn to these purple crystal spots, and so are harvesters. They're going to be drawn to those crystal spots. So they're going to be getting you cards and crystals. All right, let's talk about soldiers and power mechs. Soldiers are going to be your fighting units. They're going to be your combat units. They are only going to be typically moving, and they're going to be moving into spaces with enemy units. The soldiers have a cavity in their back that you place a combat marker in whenever you move into a space with an enemy unit. You become the attacker. That is how soldiers are going to be capturing units in battle so that you can then trade those units back to the owner for their blueprint. So this is your major way on how you can go in and start fights and become the first player to be able to gain the blueprints. Power mechs, just like miners can be upgraded into harvesters, soldiers can be upgraded into power mechs. When you have a soldier out on the board that is not already in battle, you can take that soldier, remove him from the board, and replace him with a power mech through the upgrade action. Upgrades do cost Laurium. It is 1 Laurium for harvesters and 3 for power mechs. So, power mechs, same thing as soldiers. They just roll a lot more dice and are a lot more powerful. So whenever you gain a power mech, they actually have the ability to jump over obstacles. and they can move up to 5 spaces in any direction, moving past mountains, lakes, abysses, or anything else that normally would stop other units. The last unit card is the colony ship itself. The colony ship, the best reason to play the colony ship card is to build a bunch of your modules that you can afford to build. But the first thing you have to do on a colony ship card is you have to move 1 space. And when you move 1 space, you're going to collapse the hex that you moved from. And when you do that, there are 2 different kinds of spaces on the board. You may move again, and we're going to do that now. And there are 2 different kinds of spaces that get revealed during collapses. One is called a devastated space, and the other is called an abyss. Devastated spaces get a relic token added to them when they are first revealed. Any unit on the board, except for the colony ship, anybody's units can move across that space or stop in that space, either way, and you pick up the relic token along the way. When you pick up a relic token, you drop it back into supply, and you're going to draw 2 relic cards from the deck, and you're going to choose one to keep, and you're going to discard the other one. And relic cards are persistent abilities that provide a variety of game-altering effects. So relics are very, very powerful to have. You want to definitely pick them up as your characters get close to them. Next, the colony ship, once it's moved, the point of the colony ship is going to be doing robotic construction. Robotic construction allows you to build as many modules as you know how to and as much as you can afford to. So let's take a look again at these blueprints real quick. This blueprint costs 1. This one costs 2, 2, 2, 3, and 4. So we have this much lorium right now. We don't know how to build these 2 yet at all, but I can spend 1 lorium for this, and then I can spend 2 lorium for that, and then I'm going to go ahead and spend 2 more lorium for this one here, but I'm going to hold on to the rest. I'm not ready to spend those yet. So I'm going to go ahead and find those parts of my ship. This is the crew bridge, and I'm going to place that there. This is my control systems, and I'm going to place that there. And then the other one here is called the colonist quarters, and I'm going to place that there. I've now built half of my ship in 1 turn, and that is what the colony ship is good for. So those are your 6 unit cards, and that is why you would want to be playing those cards. Remember, as a recap, your speakers are going to be getting influence. They're going to be moving to buildings and putting flags out. Your miners and harvesters are going to be gaining you crystal ore and discovery cards. And then your soldiers and power mechs are going to be going out and starting battles and fights. And then, of course, your colony ship is going to be generally used to build itself. And so there are your 6 unit command cards. Let's go ahead and talk about the 4 tactic cards. How do you get more units out on the board? Let's talk about recruit first. Recruit is also tied to your influence. As we talked about earlier, your speakers gain you influence. Influence also controls how much lorium you can store. But influence, since it is not a resource that you spend, but it is a state of how much influence you have on the planet. These are going to be the colonists that you're recruiting to become new units in your faction. So right now we have 9 influence. That means that we can recruit 9 influence worth of units, but troops are not all measured the same. Speakers cost 2 influence, miners cost 3, soldiers cost 1. So when I am recruiting, I can recruit units in any combination that I want of troops equaling up to 9. So I could get 3 miners if I wanted to, and that would be 9. I could get 1 miner, and I could get a speaker and a soldier. That's 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 3 more soldiers, 7, 8, 9. I could get rid of 3 of these soldiers and put 1 miner back in there. I could do 2 miners, a speaker, and a soldier. I could do 2 miners and 3 soldiers. Any combination of what you believe it would be best for your situation in that moment. Once you do recruit, the units come out adjacent to your colony ship. And there's only 3 troops per space. 3 friendly troops per space. And they always spawn in adjacent spaces to your colony ship or in the same space as where you have a control flag that your speaker would have put out at some point. So that's how you get new units on the board. The next, and then on the recruit card, you can also activate one of your troops that you just recruited, and that's called Motivate. And that would be the same thing as if you had played their unit card. So that's how recruit works. All right, let's talk about upgrade. Upgrade is where you're going to upgrade your troops into vehicles. And when you upgrade troops into vehicles, you're going to spend Lorium crystals to change the troops into a vehicle. Let's take this miner, for example, right here. If we were to play the upgrade card, miners can be upgraded directly into harvesters. So we can spend 1 Lorium crystal to the supply, we remove this miner from the board, and we replace it with a harvester. That's how you upgrade. Miners are only upgradable to harvesters, and then soldiers are only upgradable into power mechs. So a power mech is going to cost 3 Lorium, and you can return a soldier that's not currently in battle and replace it with a power mech. And just like Motivate on Recruit, you have the ability to immediately use one of those vehicles that you just recruited. And you can you can upgrade as many vehicles as you would like that you can afford. There is a limitation of only 1 vehicle, 1 friendly vehicle in a space with up to 2 troops or 3 troops together. So you can have either 3 troops or 2 troops and 1 vehicle in a single space. That is how recruit and upgrade work. Then let's talk about battle. So now that we've got some units, I've got a battle set up over here. We've got 2 soldiers over here that are about to fight into those 2 soldiers. And we can grab our dice. I am the attacker in this case. There are 2 different kinds of strike dice. There is a blue strike die and a green strike die. Green is for defenders, blue is for the attacker, and then soldiers roll red dice. There are red and yellow combat dice, and yellow are about a 1 out of 3 chance to hit, roughly, and then red is a 2 out of 3 chance to hit, so red is much more powerful. So in that particular case over there, I have 2 soldiers, and I'm going to roll 2 reds for my 2 soldiers and 1 blue die. And in this case, I rolled really well. 2 6s and a +2. You marry up a +2 with one of the other dice. And now, as I mentioned earlier, if you have discovery cards, you can play discovery cards to modify your dice. So if the orange player wanted to, they can play 1 card per die. And in this case, they could play a -2 and a -3 here. This is not really going to matter because that isn't going to affect it. I need 4s or higher to defeat the orange units. So in this particular case, this would become a miss because this would knock this down to a 3. But let's say I had a +1. I can drop a +1 on there. Back and forth, players will do this and modify the dice. In this particular case, if they did 1 more -1 on here, then I would not be able to play anything else, and I don't have any other cards to increase that value. So this die would be a miss, this would be a hit, and I would capture 1 of their soldiers, and I would put it in my prison over here. The orange player would strike back. They would roll their dice, and they would fight, and then maybe they would take 1 of my yellows, and then if there are any yellows left, I would only roll the dice for the dice that are left, and you always roll a strike die, and again, I would roll 1 red for my other soldier, and if I won that battle, I would take the other orange soldier, and that battle is now resolved. So that is how you resolve battles in the game. You roll dice and then you play cards back and forth, 1 card per die. All right, now that I've captured some units, let's go ahead and look over here in my prison area. Your prison area is over here to the left edge of your construction board. And in this particular case, I've already built these modules, and I don't know how to build orange and purple. So I've just captured 2 orange in prison, and I can now play my negotiate card. The negotiate card is going to do several things. One of the things is it's going to take the first player marker, and then I'm going to get an espionage card. The espionage cards work like this. One side is bad for all players besides you, and then the other side is good just for you. You're going to choose either the good side or the bad side, and these are going to be generally persistent abilities, though some of them are immediate abilities, and then you discard. If you are going to play a persistent ability, if it's an exploit for you only, you slot it into this spot right here, and then if it is a sabotage side, you're going to flip the card around and it's going to face all the other players because it does not affect you. That is how espionage cards work. All right, that's going to be espionage. Then the next thing you can do on negotiate is cyber attack. Let's say that we had a unit not in battle over here next to the purple colony ship. So I can do cyber attack, and I would need to roll exactly a 5. The values right down the middle of the recessed area is the cyber attack value. You need to roll exactly that number on your die, and you may modify the die after the fact with your discovery cards, but you need to roll that exact number for that particular blueprint. I need purple, so I need exactly a 5. And my soldier is going to roll 1 red die. That is what he rolls in combat. And I did not get it. I rolled a 1. If I had a discovery card to be able to modify it, then I could try to get it to 5. But in this case, there is no cards in my hand that would be able to modify it. So that would be a miss. But if I did get a 5, immediately both sides, me and the other player, would be able to play discovery cards back and forth. And if I was successful, I would just flip this over through cyber attacking, and I don't even have to gain units from them. But let's say that now I wasn't able to cyber attack the orange player, but I do have 2 orange units. If I play the negotiate and I've done all these other items, I may also try to do resource trading, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to gain blueprints. Gain blueprints allows me to trade either 2 troops of the same color or 1 vehicle of the same color back to the owner, and then if I trade those back, I can then gain their blueprint. And so that is how I would be gaining blueprints. And once you build a module, if I had enough ore right now to build this purple module, if I scooted this over, I would not be able to hold anything in that particular cell. So if I can't hold and everything is built on my ship, I can't hold any prisoners. So keep that in mind. As soon as you build everything, all the prisoners go back to all players. So that is your 10 command cards. That talks about relics, that talks about espionage, and that talks about discovery cards. It also went over your construction board. We've talked about your bonus actions on your main command board. Let's talk about the planet board just a little bit. On your command cards, you have certain icons called trimmer icons. Those icons exist on the vehicles and the upgrade card. So your power mech, harvester, colony ship, and then your upgrade card all include these red icons that look like trimmer icons. You'll also have noticed those on the strike dice. There are the same icons on here, and anytime you see a trimmer, we're going to move the seismograph up 1 space. This is the seismograph board. Usually 1 player at the table is going to be operating it, and this board is going to be set for a player count at the very beginning of the game, and you're going to slide for each trimmer. each trimmer icon, we're going to slide this stack of tokens, and it's going to continue sliding one step at a time for every time an action is performed with that trimmer icon. And as this reaches the fracture spot, the player that forces that stack to reach there is going to pull a token out of this bag, and the tokens are going to have terrain on one side and a number of hexes on the other. So in this particular case, if we go to Rocky and number 1, that's going to be this hex right here. This is Desert number 3, which would be these 3 hexes here. And you'll notice the edge of the board is rounded, and that is how you count from the middle outward. And all of these in the bag are going to be different kinds of terrain and the ring of terrain that collapses. Once you resolve the fracture token, you're going to take the top token off of the stack. You're going to replace it farthest back on the leftmost empty space, and then you're going to take the rest of the stack and you're going to move it now to the openmost leftmost space. And then going forward, you're going to continuously move these tokens to where this whole section is going to be speeding up to the point of where every trimmer icon is going to result in a fracture. So let's play that fracture out. Let's talk about the actual board and how it starts falling apart. We already saw how it collapses whenever a ship moves, but let's talk about a space right next to us. Here is Tundra, Tundra number 2. So Tundra is right here. This is 1, 2. We're going to remove these 2 hexes from the board. As I mentioned earlier, a relic token will come out on the devastated space, and those are eligible to be picked up by all players. You discard the fracture token to the side, and then you're going to reset that seismograph back. Whenever there's a collapse, if you have units on those spaces, those units will fall into the abyss unless they have the early warning ability. The early warning ability is automatic on your colony ship. It looks like this here, and your harvesters and your miners also have early warning. Early warning allows them to move one space off of the collapsing hex onto a neighboring space and not go into the abyss or devastated areas to get destroyed. So that is early warning. It is very good to have. Also, if there's other units without early warning, your units will take their friends with them whenever they're on a collapsing hex. So you'll definitely want to have that ability handy when the board starts collapsing. One other thing about the board is the board may look round, but it's actually a sphere. When you have units on the board, the movement is always one space per hex, but you can move off the edge of the board onto any of these arrows and come in on the same arrow anywhere else around the board. So if I moved off and I went 1, 2, 3, 4, I can continue moving just like that. I can even do a really crazy thing because every terrain has one tunnel space, and tunnels are all adjacent to each other. So I could move like this. I could go 1 off of orange to this tunnel, that's 2, and then 3 just like that to this tunnel, and then 4 right into Colony City. So all the spaces around the outside of the board from one color, orange, and these oranges are compatible to each other, as well as all other oranges. And then the reds will go to all other reds, the maroons will go to maroons, and then the yellows will go to all the yellows. So movement in Seismic is you're just as close to everybody as you are your direct neighbors. And don't forget about your tunnel movement. You can jump around the board very easily that way. All right, well, that's everything I can teach you in a very short setting, so your game master should be able to keep you going for the rest of the time. This is all the knowledge you need to jump right into a game for the first time. Hope you're the first player to launch, and good luck. And again, thanks so much for supporting Seismic and giving it a try.